I'm Doug Richardson, and this is photography the way I see it. Hey YouTube, welcome back to another episode of Photography the way I see it. I'm Doug Richardson, and today we're just going to keep it a little short today, just talk a little bit about focus. Basically, there's two types of focus. Let's leave manual out of it for now, but there might be a few more than two ways, but primarily there are two ways to focus on the autofocus. And you have the AI Servo and you have one shot. First, let's talk about one shot. What one shot is inside your camera, there are a series of dots that will highlight red when you depress halfway down on the shutter, which is the same way you take the light reading. Whichever dot is highlighted in red, that's where the camera is going to focus on one shot, or actually on either mode, but on one shot. So if your subject is off center, a lot of people will select that dot on that side so that the camera focuses there. Okay, I don't do that. I always would use the center dot no matter what. You'll see photographers that they'll look through the camera and you'll see them going like this and then they'll take the picture. Or you'll see him go like this and take the picture and you're wondering, he doesn't know where he wants to point his camera. Okay, well, that's not the case. What it is they got the center dots selected and they're putting the dot on their subject. Then they're coming back in while they're still holding halfway down to lock the focus in. Then all they have to do is depress the button the rest of the way to take the picture, and the focus won't go anywhere on them. So that's how they do that. Now, just for one shot's what I use for anything that's not going to go out of the focal plane. If it's a person that's moving left to right, whatever, lock your focus in. Okay, but group photos, a child sitting still playing in the yard, you're trying to get some shots, just lock the focus in, and then when the moment hits, and that's the key, lock the focus in first. Don't try to focus and depress the shutter all at the same time, or you may miss the shot. So if your subject is stationary, again, that's probably the best example is a child playing in the yard. Lock the focus on them and then hold halfway down on the shutter button and wait for something to happen. When you're ready, push the button the rest of the way down. That way you're not waiting on the lens to focus. Okay. But that's one shot. I select the center dot and just manually but automatically focus the camera. The other mode is best used, in my opinion, for action photography. Okay, what servo means is there are servo motors in these lenses. You use it on one shot, but once you lock the focusing in, the motor doesn't work anymore. It stops, it's done its job, you're ready to take the picture. But if you put it on servo, I actually think it says AI Servo, or nowadays I haven't bought a new camera for a while, so I don't know what the technology is now, but back then it said AI Servo. You're telling the motor, my subject's probably going to move. They might be carrying a football or kicking the soccer ball down the field, and if you hold halfway down on the button, look through the camera, and as the subject is moving, the motor is following the subject and keeping them in focus. And then when something happens, you simply depress the button and you got your shot. The difference is what I would do and what I would advise you to do when you're selecting those dots, and if I haven't done so already, I'm going to put a graphic up there. I think it's easier to show the graphics than me to have a camera here and holding the camera out and trying to stick it up to the video camera and have you see it. But there's a series of dots in there, and what you want to do is as you're pushing in on the back of the camera, at least on the Canon, I don't know where they are on the other ones, but on the Canon where your thumb would be if you was holding the camera, there is a button that looks like a square, and you'll see it on the graphic on the right hand portion of the lower right hand portion where your thumb would be. It looks like a big square with a bunch of little squares on the inside. That's telling you that this is your viewfinder and these are the little dots that you can choose from. As you're holding in on that button, you take your index finger and you turn the wheel where you adjust the shutter speed. Okay? You will see the dots start to change. Each one will take turns lighting up. However, once they've all had their turn lighting up, they're all going to light up at the same time. What that's doing is that's forming one big dot, one big oval. That's the one I recommend you use because it's harder to lose your subject. If you only have one dot highlighted in action and that subject for some reason would move out of the zone of that dot, that lens could refocus on something else behind or in front of your actual subject. So make all of the lights highlighted at once, put it on servo, look through the camera, hold halfway down, and track your subject. When you're ready, go ahead and push the button down, or if you're going to do a burst of 5 or 6 frames, or just 1 or 2, or however many you're going to do, the camera will be ready, at least for the most part. Okay, so, but that's the difference between one shot, which is you're locking in the focus and nothing else is happening focus-wise, and servo, meaning that you're telling the camera, follow my subject for me. This is action photos, so they're not going to be in the same spot for too long. So I hope this was helpful to you this week. And the next one's going to be, where do you put your subject in the picture? Help you to get a little, especially pictures you're going to blow up and put on the wall. If you're going to be looking at this picture frequently, composition is going to be very important. There's exceptions to every rule, but for the most part, I'll show you some examples on where to put your subject, and so your photographs are more dramatic. So thanks again for coming, and we'll see you next week on Photography the Way I See It.